Buzz. I'm Eric Haltman,
And I'm Dan Gershenson.
and I'm going to say this is the Weekly Buzz again because I think it might have started prematurely there. Welcome everybody back to the Weekly Buzz. This is casual Weekly Buzz. I'm in my casual T-shirt. Dan, you and
I'm
your casual
actually,
wear, free workout facility wear.
yeah. I'm about a little over an hour from doing my lunchtime workout, so got to pump some iron here, get in shape a little bit more.
So this broadcast is brought to you by Wilson. 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 It's really not. I thought that might be kind of fun. It's actually brought to you by Frosty Cream Soda. Mmm, it's delicious. Dan, it's actually not brought to you by those either. If you would like to sponsor this show, give us a call 847-498-5494. That's 847-498-5494. So Dan, what do you got for me today? What do you got for our viewers? What do you got? What are you gonna do?
Well, I think, Eric, one of the big things that we're seeing is this little concept that is coming about in advertising called native advertising.
Native. They've gone native.
Yes, native. And then that is basically a fancy word for saying ads that look like news stories. If you have opened up any Sunday supplements to your newspaper, such as Parade Magazine, perhaps you've sometimes seen some things that look like news stories that are actually ads. Well, now the lines are blurring even more. It is now even harder with native advertising that you'll see sometimes on the right-hand side of some pages that you're looking at online, let's say, and you don't know for sure that this is a news journalism story or if it's an ad. And to hear
That seems a little misleading, Dan.
a little misleading. So this is one of those things that I got to admit, sometimes as marketers we have these issues where it's like, yeah, as a marketer, that's not the worst thing in the world if somebody happens to click on something and read it and get absorbed into it. But then you've got this whole moral, ethical thing of, well, they read it and they don't know the difference between a journalistic piece and an advertising piece. And recently, a couple of different people who are decision makers, let's say Time Incorporated.
Not naming names, of course.
No, but pretty much saying, well, what's the harm if people don't know the difference? I mean, what's the harm if people do know the difference? If they know that what they're reading is a journalistic piece, a news piece versus an ad, as long as they know the difference, I don't see the problem. And this was pointed out very well. John Oliver, who his new HBO show took on the subject and said, the problem is that many people don't know the difference of what they're reading. They don't know that they're looking at this and going, huh, this looks like news, and it's an ad. My take, for what it's worth, is that we should be able to have enough confidence in our there's this separation of church and state that we should have for the good of journalism and for the good of advertising. I don't ever think it's a great thing if we deceive our audience into thinking that what they're reading is not authentically an ad or authentically a news piece. It just never works out well if we try to do all this crazy deception. And this is far, far beyond. Some people I know are going to say, well, heck, we've been doing this for years with advertorials. Not so. The difference is that many times an ad will be directly next to an advertorial nearby, so that people can tell very clearly. I mean, most of the time a monkey can tell if it's an ad on the left-hand side of the page and there's an advertorial of that same product or service next to it. Probably not going to be hard to take the leap to understand that we're talking about similar spaces here, and oh, this is an ad and this is now a journalistic piece. Not so. What we're talking about is something where people are reading stories thinking that they're journalism, thinking that they're news, and they're not. And so, some people, again, as marketers, some marketers probably eat this up. Some brands probably eat this up. The danger, of course, that we have to keep in the back of our minds is, at what cost are we further deceiving ourselves? We already have, as advertisers, there's always this distrust that's been around forever, and now we're just going further down the hole.
Dan, I'm going to have to disagree with you here. This is what Snopes is for.
Yeah, well, people are welcome to disagree. It's an interesting topic, and again, I mean, I think it's. I don't doubt that it's effective. It's just there's two sides of that coin. It's at what cost does marketing effectiveness come to our reputation?
Well, and you really do have to. People are going to believe a lot of things that aren't true, and when we were talking about this earlier, I was remembering the Orson Welles CBS broadcast of War of the Worlds, and you had everybody. That actually set some things in motion, so that they put things in place so that if they were doing something like that or whatever, that people wouldn't panic and the world would be in pandemonium and stuff. And so I don't know if we're certainly not talking about that here, but you do have to be careful because people often believe what they read. I mean, the internet has made that really kind of a standard, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I think with social media, what we've seen. There's a right and a wrong way to build community and trust with people and hopefully build things around what our audience really wants versus trying to trick them into getting interested in our products or our services. It will be an interesting development, but I think to say, somebody once that I was looking at said, well, the best kind of native advertising isn't trickery. And unfortunately, though, what I'm seeing that is out there amounts to a lot of trickery. So we will pay close attention to see what happens here with this development. I think it's something that's just we're going to see more and more of as we go along.
Yeah, I would agree, and it's always it's always been out there, deceptive advertising or making claims you can't substantiate or support, and so I remember an important lesson in the Brady Bunch where Greg was out there buying a car and Mike and Carol said caveat emptor, buyer beware. Okay?
Even when we come again from this land of advertorials and product placement and things like that. And to me, that always just felt more upfront. We weren't trying to deceive. People know it's just a matter of whether you were watching an episode of whatever Friends or something like that back in the day, and there was maybe a Pepsi can or something. It wasn't that you weren't trying to get any association there. People knew generally, okay, they paid for that.
I'll bring to that, Dan. Frosty cream soda.
We love Frosty. I expect a case of Frosty to show up today, please.
A friend of mine owns a company that they have amazing assortments of all these, I'll call them micro brew sodas and just some crazy names. It's like all of the hot sauces that are out there. So, Dan, I was in this is something we talk about with our clients all the time, and clients always need to be exploring what's on the various social media platforms. And the reason for that is they're always constantly changing these platforms, agreed?
Yes.
So one thing I came across, and let me try to screen share here real quick. One thing I came across is this on LinkedIn. And if you can you see this the LinkedIn for Education page here?
Yes.
Okay, so if you get on your LinkedIn and you go under interests and you go down to education, this is fascinating to me because I had not come across this, but you've got your prospective students, alumni, schools, and employers. And basically, if you're a student looking for a school, you can select schools and see what kind of career or ultimately what the outcome might be for you as a student. If you've already graduated, you can use it to potentially connect with people from your alma mater, and you can maybe find a new job or some new business through those leads. Of course, we all know that, given LinkedIn. But as an employer, you can also find prospective employees, and maybe you have a propensity to want to hire from your alma mater. So, had you? I know we talked about this earlier, and I think this was something that we both looked at and said, "Wow, well, I wasn't aware of this." I don't know how new this is, actually.
I don't know either. I think it's probably something that's, I had not seen it until you mentioned it, actually. So I think it's relatively new.
So we're going to explore this. If any of our viewers have used this, I'd be interested to know your comments and see what you think. So,
yeah.
Dan, a funny story also. Well, I don't know, it's funny or whatever. I'm gonna call this kind of a reverse. I don't know. I don't even know. You help me name this after I tell you what it is. But you remember we talked about the Southwest story where this family was getting ready to get on the Southwest Airlines flight. The gate agent was rude, or supposedly, allegedly rude, and the family got on, and the dad tweeted about it. Southwest was monitoring, and good for Southwest for monitoring their channels.
Yeah.
But they got on the plane and pulled the family off of the plane to say that the gate agent didn't appreciate the rude comments. Do you remember this story?
Yes.
So, subsequently yesterday or the day before, I was reading that there's a place that hosts bridal showers and weddings and so forth, and if they see that the bride has been complaining about them, they ding the bride $500 extra for bad-mouthing their location, their services. I mean, something in here seems a little backwards. It's I don't know. I mean, are we supposed to be cautious when we're tweeting? Yes. Have you heard any other examples of this?
Yeah, well, the thing that came across this week was more on the, I want to say the Yelp review side of things, where a hotel was talking about finding somebody who had posted a bad review, so they talked about maybe finding them like $500. And I don't know if I'm getting this exactly right, but there was some sort of penalty of some sort that they would be charging that guest for the bad review. Personally, I don't know if that is probably, well, I know that is not the best way to go about a relationship with somebody who posts a bad review. So I really, reviews happen, good and bad, and when they're bad, the best thing that you can do is, and I've seen this time and time again, is try and respond as best you can and do it in a prompt way. And sometimes I have seen things where there's even a bit of some fraud out there as far as people doing fake bad reviews, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
But
also illegal.
And so I think it's always been the best policy, I think, to try and confront it head on and say, look, we're sorry that you had a bad experience. We'd love to talk more with you about it. Perhaps something can be worked out, blah, blah, blah. There's a right phraseology to it, but I think, number one, you want to act as quickly as you can, and number two, you want to address the problem head on, and that's just good PR.
Okay, so I'm going to make a recommendation. If you're going to penalize people for talking badly about you, you need to reward them for talking nicely about you, and people do. But I'll be tweeting about new cars later, and so if anybody wants to throw me... Never mind, Dan. I'm going to be doing that. Yeah, it's all good. This has been fun, Dan. We should do this again sometime, don't you think?
Good, yes. That would be very good. Let's plan on doing it, say, next week?
Oh, we could do this next week, for sure.
And since it's the weekly buzz and all.
I thank my colleague, Dan Gershenson.
And thank you, Eric Holtman.
And so I'm Dan Gershenson. No, wait. You're Dan Gershenson. I'm Eric Holtman. For the weekly buzz, we'll see you next week. Subscribe, share, and comment. And if you have anything you'd like to see on the buzz, let us know. Have a great day.